There are such high quality institutions and a lot of you in the room today in terms of what India is doing in education. And this is really our chance to say, look, hey, we can work alongside you. It's not a competition. There's a big market. We can work alongside you to help get better outcomes for Indian students. Just on that, we've signed a collaboration statement between the Business Council of Australia and Universities of Australia. That's the first of its kind, where there is really 3 objectives. Firstly, a guaranteed job for all students from India. Secondly, a talent pipeline for for Australian companies that are operating in India. And there's about 150 companies that operate in India. And the third is to inform future course development. When the Honorable Prime Minister Modi ji was there in Australia a couple of weeks ago, another exciting milestone was the addition of CII to that collaboration statement as well. So now, in addition to Indian companies, Australian companies, Indian companies will have that direct talent pipeline as well. That's our way to say, how can we help break the current the current way that Australian universities think and how we approach recruitment to try something new for this new and exciting market that is India. I'll stop there and I'll pass over to my co-chairs to talk about just their opening thoughts as well, but look forward to taking the discussion further.
Hemant called me about a couple of days back and asked me to join this session, and I was kind of lost as to what I would offer. But finally I gave in, said I'll come down here. So I might be a little unknown to all of you, but I was putting together my thoughts. And it so happens that 48 years of career, I've always been in academic and research together, whether as a fresh graduate out of IIT Bombay into a company or as a CEO. And my belief is that there are multiple ways by which this happens. A lot of it actually happens, but sometimes we don't have a view of what is happening. And I was pleasantly surprised. I've been part of the Academic Center for Semiconductors at IIT Bombay last 1 year and chairing the entrepreneurship and the rest of it. And a lot of work that has happened over there. Interestingly, I was with Maharashtra Chamber of Commerce yesterday, trying to put together a 2-day, 1-day event next week for IIT Bombay's research park, which is called Aspire, to come here and talk about collaborative research. And there was a fair amount of discussion among themselves. I was observing it, saying that moment you say R&D, many of them run away. And I said, look, if there is one success that I've got is putting research up front, as a trainee as well as a CEO, so I'm all for it. I think the collaboration between, and these are my personal thoughts, collaboration between any academic institution and industry can happen in 3 ways. Obviously, industry is the beneficiary of the graduates, PhD students who come out and take up jobs. That is one clear way it happens. The second thing is, in today's time, startups, when they start, and if these startups are anchored into the work that has happened in the academia, then it fosters a whole amount of potential opportunities. And in fact, I am right now mentoring and advisor to about 5 professorial startups from IIT Bombay. And it's not just about the professor or a couple of students, but it's the whole gamut of whatever is happening down the line. The third one, which I would call, is research collaboration. And it is very interesting that these things happen over the last 2-3 months. Maybe God destined for me to have these right anecdotes. My son is founder, CEO of a company called Bombay Shaving. Some of you may be aware of it. About 2-3 months back, one of the IIT Bombay alumnus, she runs the women part of IIT of Bombay Shaving, and she called me and said, Uncle, we want to collaborate with IIT Bombay. And I said, what is the collaboration? He said, we want to work on edges. So sharp edge is obviously for knife makers, razor makers makes sense. Very associated one is the material that goes with it. And then she also said aroma is another important one because you're making all kinds of, aftershaves and everything else. So they just signed an MOU about, I think, about a week back to start the research collaboration. So I think students, when they start early enough, that is very good. I am of the opinion, and this is my last comment, I get very concerned when people say formal education is not needed. It's all got to be practice. It's like telling a musician, there are very few Kishore Kumars around in the world who can sing so well without formal understanding of classical music. So foundation is very important. Practice is just equally important. And if you're in the C level, getting yourself involved in research is very, very important. So I'm here to listen, share with you whatever I can do from my experience, and I have eminent co-panelists who are here, the director of an IIM, yourself, leading Australia here, which is one of the most favored destinations. I was telling Mr. Singh. So I think all yours.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Over to you.
Thank you very much, Kiran ji and Vik Singh ji. So Vik Singh ji is my good friend for last 3 years, and I am alumnus of IIT Bombay, Kiran ji. So welcome to this round table, and the topic given, beyond boundaries of campuses. I think this is a very apt and relevant topic. Within the four walls, students can only learn about 40% or so. 60% learning happens outside the classroom, whether among the peers or talking to industry, doing project, experiential learning, as National Education Policy says. So here, I think as Kiran ji talked about IIT Bombay experience and faculty involving in startup, and Vik Singh ji talked about, India, Australia collaborations when I arrived here. So 2-3 things, if you look at, I worked in 5 variety of institutions. BITS Pilani, one of the best private, MDI, best public, IMI corporate school, L1 companies together started. It was based on IMI Geneva, now it is called IMD. And also worked with Strathclyde University, Glasgow, then L&T Institute of Project Management. Then the last 2 my institutions are startup. IIM Trichy is my startup IIM, today's language, and IIM Nagpur is the second startup IIM. So if you see all this journey, the collaboration with industry, I think the industry academia, because finally our students join industry by and large. So how to build the great collaboration and what industry want and what we equip students, it should be in alignment. And to bring the alignment, I think the interface, industry connectedness is extremely important. And you know that many institutions are, I must say that they are following. For example, when I was in MDI, even BITS Pilani, Trichy and Nagpur, so we have strong industry mentorship to the students. We have for our MBA students 73 mentors, those who are GM and above, not less than that. So students will listen from horse's mouth 1 year what works in industry, what doesn't work. So that is a mentorship. You talk about L&T, Tata, many companies, all such people they will mentor. And apart from that, while developing a curriculum involving 16 industry stalwarts in different spectrum of their experience, we involve developing curriculum so that apart from that, every course our professors teach. And in MDI, since it was, MDI, Gurgaon, Delhi, NCR, one phone call away, many industry leaders come and address. Out of 20 sessions of 90 minutes, 4 should be taught by industry leaders. Means you can imagine out of 20, 90 minutes, 4 should be from industry leaders. And in Nagpur, we do 2 because it is a locational constraint. So at least every course, 2 sessions should be handled by the industry people, because what professor teach theory and what practitioner talk about, it should align. So that is one. Apart from that, there are live projects, number of live projects students will do. And also we have strong tie-up with MSMEs. You know that 33 to 34% GDP comes from MSME. There are 70 million MSMEs. So live project we take from them, and our students work with along with the professors. And today experience learning as per the NEP, that can be given some credit, that also we practice. The most important we do in IIM Nagpur is Bharat Darshan program. So students coming to IIM, normally around 2.5 to 3 lakh students appear for CAT, and hardly 6,000 students we admit in all 21 IIM. Now 22nd is just Guwahati started. So only 6,000, and our strength is about 350 IIM Nagpur. We take them to 2 days, 2 times, means total 4 days, they have to go to rural part of Vidarbha. And we have tie-up with NGOs, and we show them their projects. Say to give an example, to cut short, there are 15 farmers, they have so many buffaloes, around 40-50 buffaloes. NGO put a paneer making machine, and all, instead of selling the milk, these people put the paneer into the machine and they make paneer, milk into the machine, make paneer and sell and raise the bar. So this we show our students, we tell them these are all the less educated people, they are doing this. How to raise their bar, you being a cream of the society, how to raise their bar 5 to 10 times, increase their income. So that project is given. Like that we give around 15-20 such projects. And 5 projects are actually implemented out of that, students giving suggestion. This is one part what our students can advise the NGOs, those who are working on the project. Second part, what our students can learn from the Bharat Darshan program. Basically, the anubhuti, what we call, the experience what you gain, even though the people in that rural part, they are poor, but they are rich by heart. So great givers, even though they are eating a food, whatever it is, how they are humble enough to Atiti Devabhava, what our tradition was there, they can realize, because many students coming from urban area, convent school, going to those places, they realize that real India is entirely different than the, you can say India or Bharat, or you can urban and rural. So that experience they gain, and because these all people are going to be a decision maker, and if you want to be a good decision maker, you should see both the sides of the coin, urban and rural. And today you know that 2.5 crore people every year migrate from rural to urban, and urban cities are spoiling the culture of the villages. And IKS is one of the fundamental bedrock for our NEP, and probably that our students can learn from rural part of the India, Adivasi, where education has not reached. That part probably Indian ethos and a real Bharat Darshan students can do. That program we do for our students. And when it comes to entrepreneurship, I think we are just 10-year-old institution. And we are about 55 startups. Startup India Seed Fund, we are getting last 3 years. We are distributing money to the best entrepreneurs, those who are starting ideas. We also have Genesis funding, Ministry of Electronics and IT. We have DIIP funding from Ministry of Commerce. And we also get the funding from Department of Science and Technology, Nidhi. We get the funding from Vico, Vajranti, private players, and Bank of India. They all support. And in and around central India, we support all those entrepreneurs. This is at our headquarters, Nagpur. And since Vidarbha has 11 districts, apart from Nagpur, there are 10 other districts. And Wardha, we have started Wardhini. Wardhini means, it is a rural district. Wardha, Wasim, Gadchiroli, Chandrapur, like that. 5 districts. We have, on hub and spoke model, we have set up our IIM Nagpur, Foundation for Entrepreneurship Development. So people, those who are less educated in rural India, our Prime Minister's dream is, unless until you enhance the rural economy, it is difficult to be a Viksit Bharat. So that point of view, to promote the rural entrepreneurs and those who work with 5 to 10 people and start their own business, I call them as a nano entrepreneurs, and we support nano entrepreneurs in three areas: Startup India Seed Fund, second one is market access, third one is GST and all compliances. These 3 things we teach them so that they can stand on their own and they can also enhance the brand. So we started with 5 districts, and now another 6 districts we are going to do as a part of entrepreneurship, spreading from urban to rural. And when it comes to the regional talent and all, customized program for local MSMEs, we provide the customized program. Suppose the companies whose income is less than 25 crores or so, such people have their own issues and challenges different. We provide the customized training program for them. Otherwise, we are the only in the country, we run 17 variety of programs. No IIMs are running, IIM Nagpur runs. Cyber security is the first of its kind we do. Advanced healthcare management for the doctors, because Nagpur is the per 1,000 people maximum number of doctors are only one city is in Nagpur. Otherwise also AIMS is there. In collaboration that we do advanced healthcare management program. Then we have project management, digital marketing, we have senior management, we have general management. Like that we have 17 variety of program, but we customize program we do for the local MSMEs to support their business and to raise the delta so that will help to enhance the bar for GDP in MSME. And when it comes to the last part, collaboration, societal impact. So whether I talked about hub and spoke, or we working with very closely with the MSMEs, and also we work with Government of Maharashtra. There is a Mahila Udyogik Bank, Government of Maharashtra, self-help groups. We support their initiatives as IIM Nagpur in collaboration with Government of Maharashtra, and also Government of Maharashtra and IIM Nagpur with the support of Tata Motor Foundation, how to enhance the good governance in remote villages of Maharashtra. So some of them in Vidarbha, some of them in other part of the southern Maharashtra, identifying, and Tata Motor Funds and IIM Nagpur helps to evaluation and all data analysis. And Government of Maharashtra, it is a project we are doing with that. And we are also associated with the DAX project of Government of Maharashtra. For all skilling area, we are the consultant to Government of Maharashtra to support, including the skill university and all ITIs. The World Bank funding has come that we support. And IIM Nagpur also partnered with Government of Maharashtra for Mitra Maharashtra Institute of Transformation. It is a Niti Aayog scheme, and our CM has a plan to move our economy from 0.5 trillion to 1 trillion by 2030. And various schemes, say Nagpur district strategic plan we have done. Now implementation we are working closely. So like that, various schemes probably to change the livelihood of the area, region and local where we are. So we are associated. And another important scheme, Vidarbha, is largely covered by agriculture, and many suicides and all earlier happened. And we have joined hands with Government of Maharashtra Magnet project, Maharashtra Agri Business Network project. It is called as a magnet, and it has become magnet to the farmers. 6 crops in Vidarbha and Marathwada, orange, turmeric, sweet lime, like that. We train the farmers at IIM Nagpur. We also train the farmer producer organizations, and we also train the technology partners, so that farmers sitting in their field, they should know what is the rate for orange in Hyderabad, Jabalpur, Raipur or Pune, so that they can park their product there. So these are, we have been identified as a center of excellence. And apart from us, the 3 agriculture universities of Maharashtra, also, Baramati is there, Krishi Vikat Kendra and Dapoli, and also the Akola Agriculture University, Punjab Krishi Vidyapit. So they are also doing some part in this. It is 1100 crore project supported by Asian Development Bank. We are working. So apart from this, our main, MBA, it is a program, but apart from MBA, Jaisa Tata says, we also produce a MBA, or we also produce a steel, otherwise they are into everywhere. We also say we also produce MBA, otherwise we do all these activities for regional and area development as IIM Nagpur. And since IIM Nagpur is not funded like IIT, IIMs are self-supporting. Even our building is on loan every year, 19 crore we pay. We have to make our salary, everything, and also expand on our own. 20 to 25, last 5 years we have grown 40.82% year-on-year growth, CAGR growth. It was never happened in the history of IIM, and IIM Nagpur has set a benchmark. So just this is initial remarks. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Dr. Mehta. That was very insightful. So you've heard from industry, academia, and government just on our views for the 4 pillars of this conversation. So industry, academia, building regional talent, innovation, entrepreneurship, and societal impact. We have all the experts in the room and would love to hear your thoughts as well.
I think, Mr. Vic, I will, one more point, apart from these 4, what Vic Singh said, one more is extremely important in this. It is to be added as a 5th pillar, that is a sustainability. And just an example, we being a new campus, we have built a green campus. And our tiles we have put, because of that, we have brought the tiles from Vietnam, orange cities there, orange tiles, you have seen it. Yes. So that because of that 5 to 6 degree temperature inside it is less, energy cost is less, we have got green building certification and zero wastage we do. And even new construction we are doing, we keeping that in mind. We are also, net zero 2070, our Prime Minister has kept a dream, so we are working in that direction. Plus, Nagpur is located as a center point of India. Earlier, I was in Trichy. Trichy was the center point of Tamil Nadu. Then I moved to Nagpur as a center point of India. And since, we are currently doing a program from Nordics. It is a Bangalore-based company. They have Denmark company. Its revenue is more than Denmark's GDP, a big company in healthcare. We do the program for them because they used to go to some other place. And when we met, I said, we are not only center point of India, but we are net zero center point of India. So all over the country, they come for training there. Now the HR director is earning carbon credit parking program at IIM Nagpur than earlier they used to go to Kolkata. Their CO2 emission was more because all over the country going to one side, now they are at the center. So location also plays the important role for the sustainability, for the conference or the meetings. So that also we keep in mind, and we are also getting benefit of our location at Nagpur.
Thank you, Dr. Mehta. That's a superb addition, sustainability. So I reckon, we've got a good context now. It'd be good to open up the conversation and hear from everybody else as well.
We can do a sort of a interactive dialogue.
Yeah.
I don't think we have time for speeches now.
Yeah, absolutely. We've got roughly about 50 minutes. 50. So
I have a couple of questions to ask the panel, but I will wait until I hear from everybody else. Yes, exactly.
I can go first. Okay. I just wanted to put a spanner in the spoke. And since it's a post-lunch session, I thought some provocation might be useful. And so there are 2-3 provocations that I wanted to bring about. Naturally, these would sound extreme, but they are definitely something to talk about. As I often see academia in a self-flagellating mode, where industry is superior, industry also got used to be in that habit of looking down upon academia, considering that they are far ahead of academia and academia should learn from them. If I look at the Indian industry, and if I look at 2 data points, that is the average R&D spend of the Indian industry, which is abysmally low than the global average, which means they themselves are not doing anything new, and then they are expecting the things from academia, number 1. Second data point is the learning and development spends are the lowest in the world amongst the leading economies. Again, which means that they don't want to spend on their people, and then they say that they should be having job-ready people. So that's the first provocation. So should these people be the people whom we should be following and listening to is one question. Second is, what as academic institutions we have is the youth, and youth is the future. They represent what can be rather than what has been. Whereas all industry people, including us, we all represent what has been. And past data cannot be the recipe of future success under any circumstances. So that's the second provocation, that is whether that really is useful, and if it is to be made useful, what should be done, because often we get to hear from the past wisdoms, and if we try and imitate that, we will be more or less the same. So part of the industry's role is try to mold things in their own mold, so to suit their own objectives, and that doesn't mean that that particular business grows or that individual grows. So that's the second thing. And the third thing is when we talk of ecosystems or we talk of university, I think universities should be existing in ecosystems. If I say three kinds of universities, one could be the enclosed university which does not receive or transmit anything, they themselves are happy within themselves. Second type is the connected university, which is where what I find most of the universities today are, that they have MOUs, they have some activities and things like that. That's going on, but it is still one-to-one kind of things, and lot of MOUs, not much action really happening with those MOUs in most of the cases, but it's somewhat connected. And third could be an ecosystem university where you just go beyond just the industry and you say, okay, how do you engage with different stakeholders in the system, including peer-to-peer within the universities, because that's something that has been underexplored in India when labs and infrastructure and other things are so expensive. So these were the three provocations I thought I'll just put across. I can go on and on about the industry thing, but I would, as the chair said, we should just put across our points so that we can develop upon them.
System to the economics environment, business environment, education ecosystem should be in line with that, because frequently we pick up case studies from abroad, and if we study our economy, we are a world by itself. We've got 80%, I would say 60% of the people still existing in the last century, and about 30% in the century before that. So we've got to delve for 50 more years. So we have to have our own ecosystem, understand our ecosystem, and define education, and not pick up everything from the universities abroad, because it would not be relevant. Only thing, what happens is our young boys, these are Gen Z, they're very impressionable minds. They phone a friend, audience poll. They don't use much of their own thought process. So we have to be very, very careful and very respectful when we make a statement about the gap. Rather, we talk about relevance, which is the far bigger thing, which is creating employment and entrepreneurship, rather than talk about unemployment. I think it is employment, and which is caused by the lack of relevance, because we are in global south. We are picking up stories of global north. We have to be global south relevant. This is the small point that I want to put, and I'd like to hear from all of you. Thank you so much.
Can I go next? I'm Kannan Maudgalya. I'm from IIT Bombay. Happy that there are two people there from IIT Bombay. I retired from IIT Bombay after 37 years of service. I would like to spend a little bit of time on jobs, okay? No longer an IT job is guaranteed, okay? In fact, I was listening to an interview by one Mr. Pratik Agarwal of Sterlite. He was saying that they were laying cables and they would rather recruit history graduates because they would communicate better with the local people, right? Because they have to get the lands and so on. Our problem is that we have switched over to MCQ-based tests, our multiple choice questions. So our students can't even construct sentences. It's a serious problem. So we, train students belonging to Art, Science, Commerce, Polytechnic, and also engineering students. And so the only jobs we could get were, because we trained, we said we will select the best and offer them to the jobs available. And the only jobs available were customer-facing jobs. Okay? And so they went for, there was an interview by an AI and found that these people, none of them would make the grade. So then there was an attempt to find out, where do they lack so that we can help them. And the students cheated. We were trying to help, okay, to find out where the shortcomings are. So this is something that, this has nothing to do with industry. It is a way we run academia. How do we convey to the students that, you cannot just, cheat and make it. It's going to be a tough world. You have to learn. And I think this is the role of academics, I would think. Yeah. I'm keeping it short because otherwise, if everybody talks for 2-3 minutes, I think 50 minutes will be up.
May I just add? Yeah, this is Dr. Rajesh Shingde. I'm Vice Chancellor at DES Pune University. Sir, I'm also IIT Bombay alumni. And I have worked in...
It was not by design that
I
would dominate. It just happened.
No, just before some time, even Kedar Saru was with me. So I just, break for the lunch and now I'm here. He knew that, Kiran sir, you are also here.
Oh,
Today also we were trying to have him on board, but good that we have a good representation from IIT Bombay. Sir, I think I'll not go ahead with many things, but I think I would like to go for one philosophical thing, because so far so good we have talked about knowledge, right? And I think earlier also we discussed about it. And then majority of the institute are going ahead with skilling, right? But I think majority of the institutes, universities have failed to integrate disposition formally in the education system. Because of that we are landing into this. Why I'm saying so? Because it should be competency based. And when you talk about knowledge, when you talk about skills, we are doing pretty good. But the disposition part, as sir said, ethics, morals, behavioral, all that somehow I think we fail to integrate formally in the education system is what my point of discussion here right now. That's the only thing from me.
Thank you.
Yeah, Devesh.
Philanthropy here. So I represent Vadwani Foundation. We operate in almost 26 countries. And in the space of entrepreneurship, skilling, government digital transformations, as well as innovation. So more coming from the aspect of what can be done forward. And there are some good practices which we are witnessing in not only different countries, but also at home. So of course, I think Sir said it and you corrected that. Go to Mexico, ask 100 students, what do you want to do? One hand will go up for job. 99 will say we want to start our own business. Come back home, 101 hands will go for job. And hardly anyone will talk about entrepreneurship. So that's one big shift. But just to be staying with the theme today. So first piece is innovation. So innovation, while we are trying to do it in our own way, where we are working with the central government and setting up 17 research labs across 17 institutions in all areas like quantum computing, synthetic biology, space tech, advanced AI. In fact, we are working with all 5 IITs and ISCs, CCAMP, and AICT organizations. So this is all for emerging technologies. Good news is 7 out of 17 have started off already. That's on the innovation space. Another very important piece which came up very recently, this is the first time in India we are seeing what should I say? Let's say school education doesn't talk to technical education, doesn't talk to higher education, doesn't talk to DGT. So if you look at it from school to ITIs, polytechnics, colleges, and engineering colleges, and then arts and science colleges. So first time, I think the Ministry of Education has picked up a very good initiative in 5 states where it's a combination of a CDS, Career Development Service, which will be mapped to schools, ITIs, polytechnic, colleges in the same area, almost like in a simple term like Don Bosco one campus model, which instills industry from grade 6 and which instills entrepreneurship from grade 6. Now this is happening in 5 states, and since we are working with them, so I thought I must share this. So which is, again, it's an innovation of its kind, because NEP demanded it, and this is the second one which is happening where all of them are coming together. On the talent side, while it is true that industries dictate the movement of academia, no doubt there's foundations which are very crucial and that can't be compromised. But at the same time, if today we see, almost a year back, there was maybe one company starting to launch in the world with no employee but all agents. Today there are thousands. So this is a reality. So it is getting up in that way. So for example, what is emerging and how our students cope up with that, that's a tricky one. Because I myself, when I talk to students, I ask good college BCom student, what is AI doing? Just give me an example. What can AI impact in banking? And they struggle. They'll always be at ChatGPT stage, only literacy, not moving forward. So the whole aspect is we need to move them forward. So now coming to the talent side, why we as foundation, we train around, we have trained around 12 million students till now over the last 2 decades. We train almost 1.5 million every year. But these are the students who are not at the top of the pyramid, but more at the bottom or the middle of the pyramid. And here we train them, and what we have seen is a student even in a deep interior, when the AI, let's say, AI agent reaches in his own language in their own city, it's amazing. We never thought somebody knowing Bangla can pick up so fast or Odia can pick up so fast, but we are seeing completely different trend. Yes, metros lead the way, there's no second thought about it, but if technology can reach them on their mobile phone and with no money, with nothing, like we are total philanthropy, we don't charge anything. We see participation, which happens from these small places as well. So this we do skilling for all the students and employability skills, and we provide them the content, platform, AI agents, plus, we do this. And lastly, coming to the ecosystem model of growth. So this is something, again, we are trying, and good news is that both the private and the government, we are supporting them, and we are like complementing them. Is we have divided India into 20 ecosystems, and the whole objective is hyperlocal talent and hyperlocal job. Otherwise, today India is, you can easily divide supply states, demand states, and it has been for ages, so many years. Pune, Bangalore, Mumbai, typically Delhi, Gurgaon, NCR. So it's always like these are supply, these are demand. But if we turn this around and say that let's have an ecosystem of hyperlocal jobs and hyperlocal talent and then develop it. So we are trying to do this for 20 ecosystems in India. We've already launched 7. And as we move along, so I just thought let me share some good practices in what we are doing.
थोड़ा outcome बता दीजिए. Outcome is important.
Yeah.
This process हो गया. What are the outcomes? Because Wadhwani Foundation supporting since 2001.
Yeah.
Earlier, 5 institutions supported SP Jain, BITS Pilani, IIT Bombay.
Yeah.
And now second wave IITs in the ministry it was given.
So actually, sir,
the outcome आ गए तो then people will be happy to know.
Yeah. So on the, so actually you are taking me to various verticals, but let's say on the skilling front. On the skilling front, when we are talking about beyond school students, we are seeing 2 points. 70% of the students complete the program, and 42 to 43% of the students get jobs, which is on the skilling side. Entrepreneurship side, it's different. Entrepreneurship side, while we thought that 10% of them will be able to start ventures, we are struggling at 5 or 6%. Honestly, from a country perspective, it might still look better because we handhold them from a practice venture to a real venture. And then we also, then there's a second piece. A company has started and now we accelerate them to 5x to 10x growth path. Here, the success rate is around 20%. But sir is right, well, it is nowhere close to, 70, 80%. But, this is the journey, and as we move along, this is how it works, sir. Thank you.
Hi. Is somebody timekeeper here?
Yeah.
Hi, I'm Dvivesh Mehta. I'm from Harvard Business Impact. I want to share my quick bites around this particular topic on bridging gap between industry and academia. I think this gap has always existed. Even if you go back long back to industrial revolution back in 1920s, I'm sure back then industries too would have said the colleges are not producing enough mechanical engineer to train on this industry. I feel what's different in 2026 compared to 1929 is definitely the Gen AI or the LLM that has really expedited the pace of change. If you look at the half-life of skills, that is reducing, diminishing year on year, and hence the situation feels far more panicky than it ever was in years before. I'm going to touch on a couple of very important topics, like if a student is giving 2 years or 4 years of his or her life to an institution, what transformation could happen in those 2 years or 4 years of undergrad or postgraduate education. First and foremost is around the faculty upskilling. So if you see the interview of any Fortune 1000 organization and ask their CEO, what are your core top 2-3 priorities? One of the top priority will come on the upskilling of my workforce. But if you talk to the top 1,000 schools in the globally and you ask them what are your top 3 priorities, the faculty upskilling will not feature in the top 3, which is one of the reason of the gap. Because at the end of the day, faculty is the one who is touching on the end product, and how we can really upskill them and ensure they're able to add that value. They are better facilitator rather than just share out the information. Now with these LLMs, all the hard skills or the hard information is easily available on the click. But what we need is the better decision makers. The industry requires them. And end of the day, in a roles day-to-day basis, we make decisions. So how we can replicate that scenario in the classroom, it becomes again very, very critical. And that's the reason from last 2 to 3 years, some of the really traditional universities or institutions are reforming or transforming their pedagogy style as well. I think that's where the real change also happens, because in those 4 years or 2 years of what you're teaching in the classroom and how you're teaching could really shape up that student future and decision-making skills. Even if you look at the future skills from the World Economic Forum, what are the top 5 or 10 skills? None of those 10 skills talk about marketing, analytics, coding, as a relevant skills. The skills which are there are resilience, collaboration, problem-solving skills, information discernment, or collaboration. So how we can replicate in our classrooms in those 1-hour lecture, they learn these skills. One of the proven methodology which has really worked well since last 100+ years is participant-centered learning. How we can bring that in the classroom. In fact, there's a fabulous article by the ex-dean of Harvard Business School, Nitin. He said the 7 meta skills that this participant-centered learning or case-based methodology can prepare you for life. And these meta skills are like preparation, like every day you need to prepare for those case studies, discussions. That's so important into day-to-day basis. Second thing is definitely on the judgment skills, decision-making skills. Every case study you're making a decision. Like a student at Harvard Business School goes through 500 cases. It's not 500 cases, it's like 500 decisions they have learned to make. So pretty much when they join the workforces, they're well aware of it. In fact, Dr. Rao also mentioned around some of those aspects around we can't learn from the past, but at least we know what are the aspects which are needed. And it's very important to localize those particular concepts. That's where the role of a facilitator comes in. How you can localize the problem which was faced in Johannesburg or Boston or Dubai to our Indian context. There are aspects of collaboration. You collaborate with your team members, and we learn from our peers when we join the workforce. Again, that's a skill needed in the organization. You're replicating in the classroom. Information discernment, I think that's a skill will become far, far more important than it ever was, because now with the LLMs, we have pretty much plethora of information available at just click, but selecting what is very most important for us becomes far more critical for an effective workforce in the future. And that's, again, a skill that you learn as part of your pedagogy or as part of your rigor. And then finally, aspects around the self-confidence, because you're able to speak up your mind. It's, again, a great sign for a successful workforce, because at the end of the day, you will have to stand out. And every day in the classroom discussion, when you really stood out and you put your point across, that's a practice you're doing for a workforce that you want to do for next 30, 40 years. So these are my 2 core aspects around the faculty upscaling, making them better facilitator, making them how they can harness the knowledge from each of the students. Second thing on the pedagogical style, how we can replicate what the organizations are looking for and bring that in the classroom. The things which are very topical and very relevant, maybe a textbook written 10, 15 years back, might not talk about what the Gen AI challenges are coming in. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Absolutely, Sagar. And then we'll just do a chair's prerogative and go for some questions.
Yeah.
But let's hear from Sagar.
Question, I actually want to just share a few slightly out of the box ideas. And my data points would be very biased because I'm coming from a certain set of institutions. If I take, for an example, IIT Bombay, IIT Madras, and Indian Institute of Science, and then put this discussion, it will have a very different outcome because there is a lot that is happening there. So and I think you guys are better positioned than people like us. I noticed a big difference between tier 1 institutes and when you go to beyond that. So as like Professor said, there are only 21 IIMs. There may be, I don't know how many IITs exist.
23.
23 IITs.
Yeah.
Moment you go below that, even tier 2 institutes, sometimes when you go, there is a big gap in the engagement of faculty. I think students are pretty good at tier 2. If you take Gindi, if you take Jadavpur, if you take COEP, these colleges, the students are pretty good, but the gap exists and that impacts the curriculum. So that is one, just asking you that question. The other thing is the professor said MCQ. I think MCQ has to be minimized or has to go. Because your ability to articulate, and I've been involved in last 15 years of an entrepreneurial program, which is a formalism of a kind of a mini MBA. One thing we teach entrepreneurs is, can you describe your company in 5 seconds and 5 words? People come to 30 words, they come to 10 words. From 10 words, the log scale, that, very difficult. So I think the MCQ has to go. How do we evaluate students when there is no easy way? Because it becomes subjective. When we all studied, when I studied, we had to write up full text and paragraph. So my second point is that. My third point to all of you is, I always am foxed. 50, 60 years back, 70 years back, we didn't have so many graduates. We didn't have anyone. Then doctors came, software engineers came, accountants came, business came, CEOs came, many of them educated in India. Itna kharab to nahi hoga yaar. I'm 72 running, I'm still relevant. So are we being hard on ourselves and not seeing what we have?
But sir,
let me finish.
Yeah.
There are gaps and I see the problem. Definitely the students are short-sighted, but asking everybody to be an entrepreneur is like asking me. I'll give you an example. I always say dancing, music and painting were 3 subjects instead of physics, chemistry, mathematics. I may not even have graduated from the school. So I think we need government functionaries, we need academics, we need policymakers, we need industrial, we need everybody. Now there's a force to make every PhD student an entrepreneur. That's ridiculous in my opinion. So these are 3 or 4 points I would like you people as who are running the academic institutions to take forward, and we have professors from IIT where they have seen something useful to see how some of that expertise can be brought to tier 2, tier 3, tier 4, because that's the college. And the reason I'm saying is you go to US and see a community college. It's pretty decent. It may not be Stanford, but it's pretty decent. Then you go to UT Austin, Michigan. I mean, it's not Stanford, Cornell, but it is pretty decent. वो gap fill करना ज़रूरी है. That's my point.
Can I add to what you said about an experiment that we did between IIT Bombay and COEP? I was the head of distance education at IIT Bombay. Our mandate was to share what we had with the outside world. Mr. F.C. Kohli was the chairman board of governors. Professor Sahasrabudhe was its director at that time. And he said, can you transmit 25 courses from IIT Bombay live? So I found out 13 courses were offered that semester, and every professor agreed to transmit. And Mr. F.C. Kohli said, I don't want NPTEL because there is recording. I want COEP students to get IIT Bombay experience. What he meant by experience, he explained. When IIT Bombay professor makes a mistake, I want my students to see. I want them to realize it's not a major thing to make a mistake. It's okay to make mistakes. At the same time, when IIT Bombay professor cracks a joke, I want them to see you don't have to be serious all the time. And he said, I wanted my students to see that every lecture is delivered and on time. And so my students should go and ask my faculty members, why are you refusing to come and deliver lecture? Come and deliver lecture. And I would want my faculty members to see the kind of work done at IIT Bombay. So they should demand, look, IIT Bombay students are doing so much work, why are you refusing to do the work? So in other words, he said that a live transmission is something that you get the pedagogy also, not just the content. Because you can always say that I will convert my lectures into videos, sanitize and make it available. But all the pedagogy is gone. So we were able to do that extremely well.
I'll take your first question. You're all from IIT and IIM, and I respect all of you so much for your contribution. But if you look at today's world and the practical world, we need to redefine merit. Merit is not only a scholarly ability to get 98%, 99%, but I think it's more from the management education point of view. I think business acumen is more important. And if we classify everything in IIMs and non-IIMs and tier 1, 2, 3, 4, and say that there's gap there, I would rather say that let us redefine merit and look at these tier 1, tier 2 institution, not from the percentage point of view, but the faculty members there should try to see that we've got 500 districts in this country. And if these colleges go back and see how I can develop my district, what does my district require, and produce for that district, I think the problems of unemployment, employment will go away, rather than get into classification of type, which is all fine, which is convenient from a regulatory perspective. But from an economic development perspective, if we switch education and make its relevance to industry, to development, to growth, then Viksit Bharat will happen. We will produce for the nation and not for ranking. Thank you so much.
Thank you. I'm just going to leave one thought with the educators in the room. Sorry, Dr. Maitri.
Please.
We have this concept of RPL, Recognized Prior Learning. So for all the educators, if you're doing a one-year MBA and you've got someone who can demonstrate 6 months of that as RPL, will you be willing to give the full MBA in 6 months? Or are we still hung up on time served versus skills gained? Dr. Maitri, over to you.
Yeah. So I think 2-3 points what Kiranji said, and you were telling faculty training, I think somebody was talking about. It is not faculty, I will go one step ahead. There is a need for training for Vice Chancellors. And, I was the first one to do the training for Vice Chancellors. Ministry earlier used to do, later on I did when I was in Trichy. So this update, because leaders build the culture in the institution. And academic leader who is heading the institution, they all undergo the training. And of course, faculty training is extremely important to update because they make a magic for the student. And when it comes to exposure to the students, I think what Rao, you were talking about, you see in what we do in IIM Nagpur, because everybody are not fortunate to come to IIM. So second, third tier business school from Pune, Belgaum, Sonipat, Mumbai, and Bangalore, they all come to every month one institution visit our institute. We call it as a domestic immersion. Because in India practice, anybody coming from abroad, there is a welcome to all the premier institution. But I said, let us start domestic immersion. Our own students within the country, those who are not fortunate to come to there, but they can spend 1 week there. Our professors will teach. They stay there. They interact with our students. They see the culture. So that we have started to bring them to at least imagination should convert into reality, what IIM is. So that already we started. I was in Trichy, started here also we do. So that is one program to bring, at least they are not admitting, but they understand the culture system, how hard work students do there to get their dream job. So some kind of, their mindset change happens, that we are doing as a part of domestic immersion. And one thing I think, Kiranji, what I wanted to say is, he said, I am 72 still relevant, but those who are 30, 40, they are not relevant. That is a big problem, sir. Because of this all gadgets. That is the issue I wanted to say.
I get scared every day, am I relevant or not? And as the age goes on. So my point is, something we were taught, I don't give myself that much credit for my intelligence. I think the education system somewhere built a lot of us.
Right.
And we don't give the credit that it deserves to pull out. I think Professor pulled out one thing, the MCQ, I think stopped people to articulate or evangelize. When I ask an entrepreneur to write half a page of what is the value, what is it that they are offering, they can't write. But very smart, there is always, around the world, 1% people will always be smart, They'll do everything. But I think I find the difference between the rest of the colleges and top 5 Ivy Leagues or whatever in the US, I'm sure you have the same thing, that gap is too big and must be filled in.
But sir, the biggest challenge, what is happening there, it is not lack of resources.
It is not lack of resources.
And I come from Veranda Group. We have just acquired a couple of universities in US and Europe. We are looking for some universities in India to acquire, and luckily last 5 months I have met at least 10 promoters. Trust me, the pile of cash they are sitting on, Maitri sir was talking of IIMs, being self-funded. I don't think it's a question of resource. As you were saying, the VCs have to be trained. Somewhere we have to figure out how do we incentivize the owner of those universities to invest. They have all the beautiful campuses, they will invest in a building, but nothing beyond that.
No, but I tell you, Aditya, it is incentivized. You see, probably if 10 years back, there was a University Grant Commission, the circular, AICT also, promoter cannot be a chancellor, pro-chancellor. That has been reversed based on the request of promoters. It has because they invest their land, money, their idea as an entrepreneur. I think government has helped that way, that incentivization has been done. Otherwise they were telling qualified person should come there, promoter cannot be. Board member also, that has changed.
Superb. Can I actually, just because we're running out of time, Sagar's been waiting patiently and we want to finish on our wonderful women leaders in the room who haven't had a chance to speak. So Sagar, over to you, and then final some words from our women leaders, please.
So, very quickly, I represent Acumen. We work with 126 international universities. So that's one side where I think we are seeing the biggest challenge of students going out. And I think the whole transaction of what we do is how do we help returning graduates find a job. So we see that aspect now growing. On the other side, we were lucky and very proud to do a report for Niti Aayog with IIT Madras and AIU on what NEP 2.0 should look like. So that was a one-year project we delivered in December. And I think what Nitin Gadkari ji was telling today about how industry and academia should work today, from what we have done in the last 2 years, just as an applicable example, we picked up Study in Japan as a project. It started where Japan wanted to invest in India to fill their talent gaps. And they looked at India, there's a lot happening with the Prime Minister visit as well. And I think slowly we, in 2 years, graduated to work in Japan. So I think the government realized that we are unable to position Study in Japan till the time we get them jobs in Japan. Historically, they've only recruited, Japanese companies recruited from 5 IITs in India. It was only the last year we were able to convince them to launch a directory, which is called the JETRO directory, which has 87 universities, non-IIT from India, where the Japanese companies are now committed to recruit students. And what's going to happen now, which is very interesting, is 6 companies, Japanese companies, will be embedding their practical training in these 6 universities. And it's as niche as a Nissan having a course about how a clutch plate assembly works. And they will commit that if in 3 to 4 years students can learn the mannerism, the skills for their particular company, and the language, they will 100% give this guaranteed pathway. We're starting with 6 with the Japanese government. I think the idea is to scale it up in most of these universities which are non-IITs. But I think this was a simple case. We're going back to Niti Aayog to say, why can't Indian companies do this with universities? So just a practical example of what we're seeing.
Thank you, Sagar.
If I may, just...
Yeah, absolutely. We've got about just a minute or so.
Just quickly on the experience of skilling, I represent UNext, under which comes in Manipal Academy of BFSI, which is part of the Manipal Education Group. Over the last 17 years, we have trained over 2 lakh people for India's BFSI industry. All of them freshers coming straight out of college or, looking for jobs. And the reason that we exist is because, with all due respect to the academia in this room and in this event, you all have failed in terms of not just, training them in engineering or accounting or commerce or whatever it may be, but in terms of the basic skill sets that are required, basic communication, basic problem solving, decision making, etc. What Kiranji made a point, tier 1, tier 2, and the difference below that. 90% of our students come from tier 4, tier 5, tier 6 institutes and locations or towns. And their basic communication skills itself are completely missed. And this actually starts not just from the academia in perspective of university and colleges, but from the schools itself, right? And that's where the industry collaboration actually needs to start, right at the schooling level, and then flowing into universities and colleges.
Thank you, Adarsh. Final points, Sujata. Thank you.
Yeah, okay,
yes.
I'm waiting. Okay, thank you. So I represent Career Launcher, and since you asked us talk numbers, over 2 million kids have gone through our ecosystem. I call it an ecosystem. So it's almost an ecosystem of campus to career. Easier known as coaching. We're coaching people to get into NLUs and IIMs, and I can tell you how the quality of IIM students or wanting to go into IIMs have changed over a period. But I'll come to that in 30 seconds. So the nature of the student or that entire cohort of learners is changing fast. And sir, you said at 72, you're still relevant, and that's not true of someone at 40, 30 perhaps, because the entire environment has changed. So when you were growing up, or even when I was growing up, there was an ecosystem supporting it. There was a family ecosystem, and we undermine the Indian context very deeply. The joint family built-in resilience. If a child fell, you said it's okay, he'll get up and run. Many families had 6 kids, so they couldn't bother if the child fell. Today they are very protected. The parent wants the school not to hurt the child, but allow the child to have fun. Of course you should have fun, but it's okay to fail, but having fun is important. So those kind of ethos have changed. But I wanted to cover what will stay relevant is readiness. Is the child ready to get into something, do something, or job ready? And many of us since morning I've heard, today they have to be ready for a job they don't know. Which means if I have to ask for 1 degree from academia, and I'm not saying academia means universities or colleges or school, I'm saying corporate can be academia, because Google has certified 1 million learners and 150 companies have hired them. So there is no college these people went to. So miraculously, if all corporates or everyone said it's okay to be 10th fail, I will hire, what happens to the degree? So the 1 degree, if we have to work on, is the degree to learn or unlearn, relearn, learn. So can I learn? Can I get in tomorrow and start selling cycles? I mean, that's the degree. And I did my MBA from IIM Bangalore, 93, 95. And I'm happy to say the one thing I learned is I can get into anything today and do anything, including photocopying for 4 hours. I can stand and do it. I won't shy away from telling I didn't think I learned any knowledge kind of things which one learns at IITs in the IIM, but that determination, grit, night outs, I think that's a stamp forever. So if we have to give back to our kids so that 50 years later we can say, and we're going to live to be 100, I'm assuming, which means imagine the number of times we have to learn, relearn, unlearn. It's unfathomable, and at least I'm going to work for another 20, 30 years. So if there's that one thing we have to give, I think they are those competencies or cognitive abilities. And I heard a lot of you say creativity, critical thinking. I think if we do this, we can control the LLMs and they are not going to control us.
Thank you,
so I
Sujata.
give it back to you, Vic.
Thank you, Sujata. Fantastic. You've been a great roundtable participant, everyone. And thank you to my co-chairs.